Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today for you guys, I have a pretty long video. As you guys can tell for the title of this video, we're going to be talking about my son. His name is Brayan. So if you guys want to see what we're going to be talking about today, then continue watching. So I moved the camera around a little, but I did want to say that I am in Chloe's new bedroom. This used to be Brayansito'S bedroom, but since she's going to be having a sister here very soon, I decided to put both girls together and have Brayansito in his own room. Before, Chloe had her own room, and so did Brayansito, and Brayansito's room was a lot bigger, and I gave it to him because he was the firstborn and he had a lot of toys. But now that they both have a lot of toys, they're going to be in different rooms. But that is besides the point. We'll go into that in another video. But I did want to talk to you guys today about Brayansito'S journey and why I decided to talk about it. I did write it down on my phone. Wait, hold on. I did write on my phone. Oh, you guys can't see it. Oh, there we go. I did write on my phone, so you can tell a lot. So it's going to be a really long video, so if you want to go ahead, and get a snack, a drink, or whatever, put pause. I'll wait for you guys so that you guys can go get something to drink or a snack. So I wanted to do this video because I felt like the people in our immediate life, like friends and family, they don't really know what's going on in very much in detail what's going on with Brayansito, and I felt like doing a video just in general because I feel like I look for other parents that go through this stuff so that they can, kind of educate me and I can ask for advice through them. So this is why I'm doing mostly this video, but it's also just to kind of like in a video explain to friends and family what is really going on with Brayansito. And with that, I had a really long conversation with my husband, Brayan, and I asked him if he was okay with me sharing Brayansito's journey, and I spoke to Brayansito briefly about it. At the end of the day, I am his mom, and I feel like the more we talk about it and the more that I can find ways to help him and how he can improve, he is going to learn. And I'm very thankful for being that type of person because thanks to that, my son is doing so much better in his journey, and I can only see the good and the benefits and the goodness that has come out of this, if that makes any sense. This is just more for like an educational purpose and to kind of like help others understand where we're coming from, and not mostly to kind of just do a video for doing a video. It was more to kind of like maybe bring a little bit more awareness to the situation, and that way other parents can do this with their kids if they feel the need to, or just to learn how to be around other people and parents and kids that are this way. So yeah, I just always wanted my son not to feel like an outsider or like he wasn't in his place, and I just didn't want other people to look at him like he wasn't a normal kid. And this is why I think it's so hard sometimes for me to talk about it, because I feel like once people know what's really going on, they're just going to want to like kind of like label him into being a certain type of way. But the only way that the stigma will end and that the people treat him this way is by me reaching out and talking about it and making it seem something so normal, something just so open, that people will not notice that it's anything different, like, because it's not. But society has made us think that because someone has something, then they think that they're an outsider or something. Wow! Thank you, mi amor. You like my eyes? Thank you. As parents, we tend to point out things that no one wants to talk about. The bad side of their kid, that no one talks about the bad side of their kids. We're always saying, oh yeah, my kid is so good at this. Oh, my kid is so great at that. Or like, my kid can do this, my kid can do that. And I think it's just something natural that comes out. Like, nobody likes to say, oh, like, even like when you're talking about yourself, you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Like, we're not so open about it, if it makes sense. Like, some people are just more okay with saying these things, but just some of us aren't. And to be more open minded and just be more accepting towards others. Here is how my son's journey begins. So, my son Brayan was born on December 15, 2016. And to walk around 7 or 8 months, and he would talk a lot for a baby so young. Like, his first word was mama, and it was around 4 months. I don't really talk, but he was like picking up a lot of words and he would try to say them, and they weren't obviously frequent and he wouldn't use them on an everyday basis. But however, that all changed once he was 13 months. I noticed that he wouldn't focus and that he wasn't trying to learn new words, and he only knew around 50 to 60 words, and it wasn't improving as much as I wanted to. Or, as we always do as parents, we're always looking at other kids and how well they're doing, or comparing and contrasting. And that's like the biggest mistakes that we can do as parents, because then we put pressure on ourselves and then we feel like there's something wrong with our kids. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing that to a certain extent, but everything should, and it does have limits. I started buying school stuff like flashcards, and I would see if that would help him, but nothing really was seeming to work. And I remember at a checkup appointment, I kind of brought it up to the doctor, and I was like, he's not really learning, but the doctor didn't seem concerned or anything. And this was like around his 13-month appointment. And he did ask questions, and since he's not in daycare and not around kids all the time, he really isn't exposed to being around other kids his age really much at all. Like, he has a little cousin around his age, but he's really not around her a lot for me to say, oh, that's where he's going to pick it up from, or anything. Like, a week, in a whole month, they would see each other for like once or twice. So it really wasn't him being around kids his age that, you could say, oh, he's always exposed to being around other kids. No, my son wasn't. And he's just a very shy to himself person at first. Then he could be very outgoing and just a little bad boy. He said that, he is the only child, so it's really normal for him not to, really be picking it up. So it's just really normal. And he's also learning Spanish. So with that, I rested for a while, but I kept feeling like there was just something that wasn't right. Like, deep inside of me, I was like, something's just not right. You know what I mean? But I did understand the fact that he was learning Spanish and English. So, that could take a lot of him, and just kind of him not really picking up words as easily as other kids that are just learning one language or are in daycare and have someone that's like forcibly teaching them, versus, as a mom. So at his 2-year checkup, or before that, I really don't remember. I don't really have the dates really like on point. Up again at his 2-year checkup, and I told them he needs to be evaluated. Like, I don't care that you don't agree with me. I'd rather at this point have a speech therapist go and do an evaluation with him, and that way we find out if he really does have it, and if he does, he needs to start getting treatment as soon as possible. So I'm so thankful that she listened to me, because she did give me the referral. And I also asked her if he had autism, just because of the way that he would act. He would get so frustrated and stuff. But I would go into more detail of why I thought he had autism. But I did ask her, and she did do him an evaluation. But as soon as she saw him, and she's been taking care of him since he was a baby, she knew that he didn't have it, because there's certain symptoms that kids that do have it they show. So she said definitely Brayansito does not have it. We just didn't keep pursuing that once we saw that speech therapy was working. But I will go in and they do an evaluation, and she said we would get the results the next day. So there's really not much to that. Hear back from her at his follow-up appointment, and she said that it was medically necessary for him to have it, just because so there's different, I really don't really know what kind of speech impairment or speech delay Brayansito has. So he does need speech therapy, and I know I will be leaving a link down below in the description bar where there's like a doctor or someone who's talking about speech therapy, and they kind of go into detail about the categories and stuff. So definitely check out that video. It will kind of give you a little bit more insight on all of that. But I think Brayansito was just having a hard time really just pronouncing the words and communicating, and because he was so used to screaming and yelling and just getting frustrated that he didn't feel like words were needed, and the things that he needed, he would say them in sign language, because we did teach them sign language, and the speech therapist said that that's really, really good to do. But at this point he was already 2 years old, so he needed to know how to talk, like actually speak. Knew he needed to be getting speech therapy. There was just something inside of me that I knew he needed it. So just knowing that we finally went to that doctor's appointment and that we finally got the answers we were looking for, it just gave me that peace of mind and that peace in my heart that I needed, because I knew that finally he was going to be able to get the help that he actually needed, if that makes sense. I did write a couple signs that we watched out for. Brayansito would yell if he wanted something, or he would get super frustrated, and it was mostly when he wanted to communicate. So like he wanted to talk to us and he wanted to say something, but the words were just not coming out. And it wasn't even at this point where it was kind of like he would try to say it and you just couldn't make the word in your mind, or you just really wouldn't understand it. So he would get really frustrated and he would start yelling and crying, and he would just get really stressed out and just very upset. And this was because he wasn't being understood. He would act out, and he still does it sometimes when there's certain words that he wants to say or he wants to express himself. He still does it, but not as frequently as he would before. But yeah. And or he would stay very, very quiet and just kind of isolate himself from everyone else. And he would get really anxious around other people. And if you would notice that if you or he would notice that there was more kids around, he would get really shy and just really quiet and, like, again, isolate himself from everyone else. And he would feel really out of place, and it would make him feel very uncomfortable. And as a mom, you never want to see your kids like this, but these were some of the symptoms that I saw in my son. Not saying that every kid that needs speech therapy or has a speech delay has these symptoms. These were just things that I noticed and that I expressed to his speech therapist and his doctor, and this is what really helped to determine that he needed the help, and kind of gave me that peace of mind that I needed. Are almost gonna be a year in therapy. He now remembers things. He now knows how to say stuff. He is just improving so well, and his vocabulary is extensive. Like every day he learns something new, and it's just so beautiful to see him, just talk and express himself and just kind of be him. So it's really, really, really beautiful to see that, because going from him not being able to now being able to is just so beautiful. And now we can have conversations. Now we do talk instead of me always having to parent him. And we talk, and we're always looking out the car. I am that mom that I'm always talking to him in the grocery store. Banana, yellow, apple, just always talking to him and constantly making him remember things and just looking at things. He still uses my phone. I still let him see YouTube, because and that's where he learns sign language. And I also learned sign language in college. So I really knew sign language already. So, him and me would talk, and, then we teach dad how to talk, and my mom, my dad, also, he just really, is now picking it up so well that I'm so proud of him. And I'm just very thankful that he wants to learn. And just the other day, a couple nights ago, I bought him this book. It's like the ABC book, and it's activities for kids his age, and just, he's learning. He is now 3 years old, but he is definitely learning and picking up a lot. Like I said, his vocabulary is expanding. He tries to say things that, are a little bit more challenging for him, but it's just so amazing to see how he can remember things so fast. We also have this really cool app that we downloaded on my phone that he plays with, and he likes to call it EEE because it's the piano. But it also is like letters, and it also is numbers, subtraction, addition, and then puzzles, and then like just memory games, and all of that is just stimulating his brain. And I feel like technology is such a big part of today, so I have to let him be okay and be exposed to technology. At least that's what me and my husband think. And we really do allow him to be on our electronics and be using a tablet and watch TV and see stuff on our phones. But he's not just watching dumb cartoons or things that he's not learning. He really is learning from the things that he's seen. I do want to get him ABC Mouse, but I want him to be a little bit more advanced in his speech, so that now he can kind of pick it up and know how to focus a little bit more. So you're probably wondering, well, how does he behave now? So his behavioral issues, he still has an attitude, but that comes from me. Like, I have a huge attitude, so he just picks that up from me. So, even though he is really doing a lot better and he's improving, and if people around us don't believe that, I do, and I'm his mom and I know best. And his speech therapist has told me that he is improving a lot, even in behavioral parts. Um, so yeah, he definitely is doing a lot better. He still has his little episodes here and there, but now when we go out to eat, he'll sit down, he'll color, he'll ask us questions, he'll talk. He orders his own food now, and he is not shy to say what he wants to eat. We do read him stuff off the menu, and then he says what he wants. He now can say what he wants. We went to Chili's, and he said he wanted pizza, and so he said pizza, and then he said chocolate milk to drink, and now he can order for himself and talk for himself when he has a headache, when his stomach hurts, or when he's tired, or his legs or his feet, or whatever the case may be, hurts or is in pain or whatever. He now tells us, and he now can express a little bit more. He's still learning. He's still on this journey. He's still doing really good. And I'm so proud of him. And I am just so proud of all his little accomplishments that to other parents it may have already happened. Or they're not really, it's not that they don't care, but they just don't see them as a big improvement or whatever the case may be. I do, because every little thing that he does, we're like, oh my God, he can do this. Like when he was learning how to express himself, me and Brayan would just look at each other and we would cry in silence because we were so excited for him. Just like I said a couple nights ago, we were doing the ABCs and he was saying them. he would repeat them as I would tell him, and he said all of his ABCs and then all of the animals that the book had. And we just, we do his little dance parties. We're cheering him on, and we're so excited for him. So yeah, like, he's doing so much better. And I'm just so proud of him. Like, I know that, like I said, like, to some parents, it just may seem like, oh, well, this is something your kids should already know how to do, or this is just something that, is normal or it's natural. But for us, as first time parents, he was our firstborn. Um, Everything he does is like, wow, like, he can do this already type thing. But even more when they have a delay or an impairment, or when they're having difficulty learning how to do something, you get so excited and you get so proud for seeing your child do this. So even though to other parents, this may be something that's like very common and just something that, oh, your kid should already know how to do this, to us it's not. And to us, it's so exciting to see how amazing our kid is learning. And learning so much on his own, and he's picking up so much words, and his temperament could be better, but it's a lot better than it was a year or two ago. So I will say that and leave it at that. Yeah. All right. So now going to what I wanted to read you guys. So I wanted to share this for the parents that feel how I did, for the kids that needed that extra push, for those of you who look down or talk about kids that have a speech delay. This is something I take very seriously, and I have no respect or care for someone who makes someone feel bad for a delay or problem. And I really hate using the word problem, but I kind of have to, because our society has just made us think that it is a problem, when in reality it's not. It's something that these kids just cannot control, and that are born with it. But I do not understand why other parents or people feel the need to put these kids down for something they just cannot control, and that they had, like, they didn't pick this. They didn't pick this to be their story. So why I wanted to read this instead of just me, like, kind of saying it, was because sometimes I get a little sidetracked, and right now I'm so pregnant that I can barely breathe. So just, it's just crazy. But because this is such a touchy subject, and some people may agree or may disagree with speech therapy, or some parents may feel like, or some people may feel like, well, you're the mom. You're supposed to teach them. You're supposed to do the work with them. Yeah, you're right. I am his mom. Yeah, you're right. I should be the one to do this. Or, oh, there's something wrong with your kid because he cannot do this, or she cannot do this. There's nothing wrong with my kid, first of all. Second of all, there's nothing wrong with me asking for help when there's people that are professionally trained to teach these kids how to properly find the words and the language within themselves. So yeah, there's just nothing wrong with our kids. There is just a little bit of help that they need, and sometimes asking for help from an outsider is the way to go. If you still don't agree with that, that's fine. You are the parent, and you know at the end of the day what you do and what you don't want to do for your kids. So this was the best way for us to go, and I feel like if I could have help from someone else to help me do it, I'm always going to ask for it, because sometimes there's always going to, no, not sometimes, there's always going to be someone who knows a little bit more than I do, and that is okay. So thank you for joining me today. I hope that you guys all learned a little bit more on Brayansito'S journey. And if you picked up something, if you not necessarily learned something from me, but just kind of picked up how to act around other parents and kids that do have this, just be more sensitive and be mindful that this is something that is normal, but our society has made us think that it's not. It is, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help or for allowing these kids to just achieve something that maybe to other kids may come easier. So yeah. Like an update in a couple of months, let me know in the comment section below, and I will be most happy to make that update for you guys. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video.